Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are not just talking about tools. I think we're really talking about survival.
Survival is absolutely the right word for it, yeah.
I mean, every single person listening right now, I guarantee you know exactly what I'm about to describe. It's the content treadmill. You know that feeling.
Oh, I know well.
You wake up and you just realize you can't write a blog post anymore. That's so, what, 2015?
Ancient history?
Totally. No, today you have to write the post, then you have to turn it into a Twitter thread, sorry, an X thread, and then you have to film a TikTok. Then you put that on LinkedIn, but it needs a completely different caption, that sort of broetry style thing. Then you have to cut a YouTube short. Then maybe, if you have any energy left, send a newsletter about it.
And you have to do that every single day, or it feels like you have to.
You do. It feels like you need a staff of 20 people just to maintain a basic presence on the internet. And if you're a business owner or you're trying to build a personal brand, it's genuinely overwhelming.
It's the fastest path to burnout I've ever seen.
It really is. And for the longest time, the advice from all the gurus was just, hustle harder or batch your content on Sundays.
Right. Just work more, which is not a solution.
No, but the sources we are looking at today, and we have a massive stack of material here, they're suggesting a complete paradigm shift. We aren't talking about working faster. We aren't even talking about hiring more people.
We are talking about building a machine.
A machine, exactly. We're moving from this world of manual creation to what some of these experts are calling a self-driving media ecosystem.
A self-driving media ecosystem. I love that term. It's so evocative.
It sounds like something out of science fiction, right? Or maybe a threat, depending on how you look at it. But we've got the goods to back it up. We've got deeply technical guides on video automation software. We have transcripts from AI engineers who are building these agentic workflows.
We also have research papers on something called Storm, which we'll get into. It's mind-bending.
Yeah.
And then breakdowns of what actually makes content go viral from a scientific perspective.
And the mission for this deep dive is to really explain how that ecosystem works. We're going to peel back all the layers. We're going to go from the absolute plumbing, the actual rendering of video files, all the way up to the
Like
brain, where AI agents are actually debating research topics and predicting the future of a post before you even hit publish.
That's the part that really gets me, the predictive element. The idea that software can now look at a piece of content and say, with some degree of certainty, yeah, that's going to work.
It blew my mind when I was reading it. But, we have a lot of ground to cover before we get to the crystal ball stuff.
Yeah.
We have to start with the heavy lifting, the manual labor.
The grunt work.
The grunt work, exactly. And in the world of content, the heaviest lift is always, always video.
Without a doubt, video is the bottleneck. It just is. As one of our sources, ThinkPeak AI, puts it, and they phrase it perfectly, manual video production simply does not scale.
It's a linear process.
Totally linear. You can edit 5 videos manually, sure. If you don't sleep and you just chug espresso, maybe you can do 50. But you cannot do 5,000. It is physically impossible for one human being to do that.
And I think this is where we need to make a really clear distinction right at the top, because the term AI video gets thrown around so much. We aren't talking about Sora here, are we?
Right, and that is a crucial distinction to make. People hear AI video and they immediately think of generative AI, tools like Runway or Sora, where you type in a cat riding a skateboard in cyberpunk Tokyo and it creates pixels from scratch.
It just makes it out of thin air.
Yes. That is generation. What we were talking about today, for the most part, is automation.
So not creating the image itself, but managing the whole process.
Exactly. Managing the life cycle of the video. I like to use the analogy of a painter versus a printing press. Generation is like painting a masterpiece from scratch. Automation is like running a printing press that can produce thousands of perfect copies, each with a tiny, unique variation.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's about the rendering, the versioning, the logistics.
It's about taking a template, a pre-designed asset, and just forcing data through it so you never have to touch the timeline yourself.
Let's make this concrete for people. One of the tools in the stack is called Plainly Videos. How does a tool like that actually change the workflow for, say, a marketing team?
Okay, to really get why Plainly matters, you have to understand how painful manual rendering actually is in a professional environment.
It's the watch paint dry phase of production, right? You hit render and just walk away for 8 hours.
Exactly. Or your computer sounds like a jet engine is taking off. So let's create a scenario. Imagine you're running a massive e-commerce store. You have 10,000 customers who got a specific product. You want to send a personalized video ad to every single one of them on Instagram saying, "Hey name, thanks for buying the product name. Here's a 10% off coupon for your next purchase."
In the old world, that's impossible. That's a non-starter. You'd have to open up Adobe After Effects, change a text layer to "Hi Steve," change the product image, add it to the render queue, wait 10 minutes for the file, then do it all over again for "Hi Sarah."
And your machine is tied up for weeks. It would crash your RAM. The whole project would be a nightmare. And heaven forbid you spot a typo in the main template on day 3.
Oh God. Game over. You have to start from scratch.
Right. So Plainly moves all that logic to the cloud. It allows you to take a high-end After Effects template so that it looks professionally designed. It has the cool motion graphics. It's not some cheap slideshow. And it connects it to a data source.
Like a spreadsheet, a CSV file.
Yeah. Exactly. You have a spreadsheet with a column for name, a column for product, maybe a column for a unique coupon code. Plainly then creates an API endpoint for your After Effects project.
Okay, so you're not manually rendering anymore. You're just, what, sending a data package?
You're sending a little JSON file that says, here's the text for the name layer, here's the image asset for the background layer. The cloud server then spins up what's called a headless instance of the render engine.
Headless, meaning there's no monitor, no visual interface. It's just the engine running in the dark on a server somewhere.
Correct. It doesn't need to draw the interface on a screen, which saves a ton of processing power, and it can do it in parallel. So it can render those 10,000 unique videos, not in weeks, but in minutes. It just spits out 10,000 unique MP4 links, and you're done.
So you've turned video into a software problem. It's not a creative manual task anymore. It's programmatic generation.
Precisely. And for the developers listening, the research pointed to an even deeper, more powerful tool called ShotStack. Plainly is great for designers who love After Effects. ShotStack is for coders who want to bypass the visual interface entirely.
So you're literally editing with code.
You are writing a script in JSON, that's JavaScript object notation, that literally describes the entire video edit. You're writing lines of code that tell the API, at timestamp 00.05, insert asset B, apply a fade transition, make the duration 2.0 seconds.
That is just wild. It means you could build an app where a user takes an action like they finish a workout, and the code automatically generates a personalized summary video for them without a human editor ever opening a program.
That's exactly how companies like Spotify create those year-wrapped videos, or how news organizations can create instant video highlights for sports games. It's all data driving a render engine. That is the core of video automation.
Okay, so that handles the massive scale stuff, the thousands of videos. But what about the solo creator? The person sitting in their bedroom trying to edit their next YouTube video. The research mentioned this text-based revolution.
Yes, this is the other side of the automation coin. This is for the talking head content, the podcasts, the tutorials. And the big player here, the one that really changed the game, is Descript.
I feel like Descript has completely changed everything for podcasters and YouTubers.
It really, really has. The fundamental shift, the genius of it, was treating a video file like it's a Word document. In traditional editing software like Premiere Pro or Final Cut, you are looking at waveforms. You're scrubbing through a timeline, hunting for the little silences, trying to match the audio spike to the word you want to cut.
It's so tedious. You end up listening to the same sentence 10 times just to cut out a single...
Right. It's a horrible workflow.
Yeah.
Descript just transcribes the entire video first. So what you see is a text document. If you see a sentence you fumbled, you don't hunt for it on a timeline. You just highlight the text and hit the delete key.
And the video just cuts.
The video cuts. It stitches the visual to the text anchor. It's like magic the first time you see it.
It really is. But the sources mention something new called Underlord. That sounds kind of ominous.
It does sound like a supervillain, doesn't it? But it's their AI assistant, and it's evolved way beyond just cutting text. It now handles things like studio sound.
That's the noise removal feature, right? I've used that. It's pretty good.
It's so much more than just noise removal. A simple noise gate just cuts out background hum. Studio sound actually regenerates the audio frequencies of your voice. So you could record on an iPhone in a windy park with an echo, and it will reconstruct your voice so it sounds like you're in a professionally sound-treated booth.
How does it do that?
It's utilizing the latent space of what a good voice is supposed to sound like, and it's essentially mapping your garbled audio onto that ideal model. It's rebuilding your voice.
That is incredibly useful. But there was another feature mentioned that, I'll be honest, it creeps me out a little bit. Eye contact correction.
Yes. This is where we start sliding toward the uncanny, for sure. So let's say you are reading a script that's on your laptop screen just below the camera. Your eyes are looking slightly down, not directly at the camera lens.
Which is the cardinal sin of video, right? You immediately lose the connection with the viewer. It feels like you're not talking to them.
Exactly. Descript, and there are other tools like v.io that do this too, can use AI to literally redraw your pupils in real time. It digitally shifts your gaze so it looks like you are staring directly into the lens, even though you were reading off a teleprompter the whole time.
That is both amazing and slightly terrifying. It feels like we're editing reality now, not just video.
We are. And if you think redrawing eyeballs is wild, just wait until we get to the next section. Because we aren't just fixing eyes anymore, we are replacing the human entirely.
Okay, this is the synthetic humans part of our deep dive. And I have to be honest, this is where I usually get pretty skeptical. We've all seen those AI avatars from a year or two ago. They had those dead eyes. They didn't blink right.
It felt like a hostage video.
Totally. It just screamed, "This is fake."
It did. And that's a real phenomenon called the uncanny valley. You know that feeling when you look at a robot or a CGI character and it looks almost human but not quite, and it triggers this biological danger response in your brain?
Like a wax museum figure that suddenly moves. It's just creepy.
Exactly. But the sources we're analyzing, and we're talking about Synthesia, HeyGen, and especially some of these newer players like Arcads, they're closing that gap at a terrifying speed. We aren't just talking about basic lip syncing anymore. We're talking about micro expressions.
Micro expressions. What do you mean by that?
It's the tiny, almost subconscious movements. It's the slight eyebrow raise when you're asking a question. It's the little hesitation in breath before you say a difficult word. It's the subtle head tilt to show you're listening. These new models are trained on incredibly high-fidelity captures of real actors, so all that nuance is now being baked in.
And the use case here isn't just for people who are, camera shy, is it? It's about achieving global scale.
Right. Think about the video translate feature that was discussed in the technical guides. It's one of the killer apps for this tech. Let's say you record a crucial training video for your company in English, but you have teams in Brazil, Germany, and Japan.
Okay, so typically your options are bad. You either subtitle it, which nobody reads, or you hire voice actors for dubbing, which looks terrible because the lips don't match the new audio.
Correct. It looks like an old kung fu movie. But now, tools like HeyGen can clone your voice, so to have your unique cadence and tone translate the script into another language, and then reanimate your lips to perfectly match the Portuguese or German or Japanese phones.
So to a viewer in Tokyo, it looks and sounds like I'm speaking fluent Japanese in my own voice.
To the viewer, yes. It's seamless. You become a global creator instantly without learning a new language. But where it gets really economically interesting and maybe a little controversial is with UGC, user-generated content.
This was the part about Arcads and Creatify, right?
Yes. So brands love UGC. Everyone knows it works. It looks authentic when it's a real customer holding a product in their kitchen saying, "I love this face cream."
Because it's social proof. It's not a polished ad.
Exactly. But think about the logistics of actually making that content. You have to find an influencer, you have to negotiate a rate, ship them the product, wait 2 weeks for them to film it, hope they get the talking points right.
And half the time, the lighting is bad or you can hear their dog barking in the background.
Exactly. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's unpredictable. So a tool like Arcads allows you to just select an AI actor from a library. And these aren't corporate avatars in suits. These are digital personas designed to look like real people. They're filmed in living rooms, in bedrooms, in cars.
So it looks like a kid in a messy bedroom holding a product, maybe even stumbling slightly over their words for authenticity, but it's entirely generated.
Right. You just type in the script,
Yeah.
and this AI actor performs it.
Okay, I have to pull the emergency brake here. This feels different. You're saying I can type a script, and a photorealistic human, who is not a real person, delivers it with authentic stumbles. Is that deceptive?
That is the big ethical can of worms, isn't it? Is it still social proof if the person providing the proof isn't real? Or is it just a very, very sophisticated puppet show? The tools will often add a small watermark, but from a purely content supply chain perspective, which is what we are analyzing today, it changes the economics of advertising fundamentally.
Just so. In what way?
Well, you can test 50 different scripts with 50 different actors in a single afternoon for less than the price of one real influencer collaboration. You can A/B test the demographics. Does this ad perform better with a middle-aged woman from the Midwest or a teenager in California? You don't have to guess anymore. You just render both and see what the data says.
It effectively turns the human element into an API call.
It does. And there are tools like TagShop and Zeely AI that are pushing this even further with this idea of URL to video. You don't even have to write the script. You just paste a product URL, like an Amazon link, and the system scans the page, grabs the customer reviews, writes a UGC-style script based on those reviews, picks an appropriate avatar, and generates the video.
That is a level of speed and scale that a human creative team just cannot compete with. But speaking of humans and, well, digital versions of them, I have to bring up this case study from the YouTube transcript we analyzed. This guy, Samer.
Samer, yes. This is a fascinating glimpse into what's being called the digital twin concept.
So Samer didn't just make an avatar to read a script for him. He built a bot that can actually answer questions as him.
Correct. It's a much deeper application. He fed his entire personal and professional history, his CV, his resume, his personality analysis from tests, all his past blog posts, his work history, into a custom OpenAI assistant. He then embedded this bot on his website.
So a recruiter or a potential client can go to his site and just interview him.
They can have a conversation with his digital twin. They can ask, how does Samer handle conflict? Or what is Samer's management style? And the bot will answer based on his actual history and stated principles.
It answers in his voice, his style, using his data.
He calls it his digital twin. It's a way for him to be in multiple places at once, to have hundreds of conversations simultaneously. It's a primitive version of what's coming, but it shows that this whole automation wave isn't just about making videos, it's about scaling presence.
Scaling presence. That's a really powerful phrase. But okay, let's zoom out for a second. We have the assets. We have the thousands of videos rendered by Plainly. We have the UGC ads from ArcAds. We have the digital twins. But they are just files sitting on a hard drive unless they go somewhere and do something.
Right, and that brings us perfectly to section 3.
Yeah.
The nervous system.
The orchestration layer.
This is the unsexy part that actually makes everything work. It's the glue. If you have an amazing video tool and a great social media tool, but they don't talk to each other, you are still the bottleneck.
Yeah.
You are the one downloading from one platform and uploading to the other.
You become the human copy-paste machine, and nobody wants to be a human copy-paste machine.
It's the worst job in the world. So the sources highlight two main players here that act as this glue, Zapier and Make, which used to be called Integromat.
Okay, what's the real difference between them? Because I feel like everyone has heard of Zapier, but Make seems to be the one for the real pros.
That's a very fair assessment.
Yeah.
Zapier is fantastic for simple linear triggers. It's built on the idea of if this, then that. If I upload a new video to Dropbox, then send it to my Vimeo account. It's a straight line.
Point A to point B, super simple.
Right. Make is the central nervous system for complex logic. The interface itself tells the story. It's a visual canvas. It looks like bubbles connected by lines. And it allows for branching logic, for filtering, for data manipulation in a much more sophisticated way.
Branching logic. So you mean if X happens, do Y, but if Z happens, do something completely different, like A?
Precisely. The example that was in the research is a great one. You upload a video transcript to a folder, Make grabs it and scans the text. If the transcript contains the word pricing, it's probably a sales call, right?
Mm-hmm, a lead.
So it automatically routes that video file to the sales team's Slack channel. But if it doesn't mention pricing, it assumes it's a generic tutorial and uploads it to YouTube and adds it to the public playlist.
That's really smart. It's making decisions based on the actual content of the file, not just the file name.
And this is how Samer, going back to our case study, has achieved what he calls 90% automation of his content pipeline.
Okay, walk us through his actual workflow. How does he run his content machine from start to finish?
Okay, so visualize this. His input is one single video file. He records a video, and he drops it into a specific Google Drive folder. That is the only manual step he takes in the entire process.
That's the trigger, the domino falling.
That's the trigger. A Zapier automation sees that new file. It immediately grabs it and sends it to an OpenAI assistant to analyze the transcript. It then generates a caption for LinkedIn, a caption for Twitter, a caption for Facebook, all tailored to the specific platform's character limits and tone.
So it's not just copying and pasting, it's rewriting for the context of each platform.
Exactly. Then it uses a scheduling tool called Metricool to automatically schedule those generated posts across 6 different social platforms. But he doesn't stop there. Simultaneously, he has it create a blog post draft.
From the same video.
From the same video. It takes the full transcript, formats it into a proper blog post.
Yep.
It adds H2 headers, bullet points, pulls out key quotes, and uploads it directly to Ghost, which is his blogging platform, as a saved draft.
So he just has to log in, maybe tweak the headline, add a personal anecdote, and hit publish.
Exactly. All the grunt work, the formatting, the uploading, the copy pasting, it's just gone. He even have a workflow set up for his podcast guests.
Oh, this was the guest form thing, right?
Yeah. It's brilliant. He sends a guest a link to a Jot form. They fill out their bio, their talking points, all that stuff. The automation sees the form submission, takes their answers, and automatically generates a full intro script for him to read.
Wow.
And it generates a list of interview topics and questions based on their stated expertise, and it saves all of that into his Notion workspace as a new page for that episode.
So he literally just sits down to record, opens Notion, and the prep work has been done by the machine.
That is the power of orchestration. It connects all the separate islands into a continent. But, and this is the big pivot in our entire discussion, that is still just automation. It's rigid.
Rigid in what way? It sounds pretty flexible.
It's following a predefined recipe. If this, then that. If the guest fills out the form in a weird way, or puts a broken link in one of the fields, the automation might just error out and stop. It can't think, it can't problem solve, it just executes a command.
Right. It's like you're baking a cake with a recipe. If you realize you're missing an egg, the automation just stops. It doesn't have the intelligence to say, oh, I could use some applesauce as a substitute.
That is the perfect analogy. And that is why the entire industry is now moving to Section 4, the leap to agentic AI. This is by far the most futuristic part of the stack we're looking at.
Okay, so you have to define agent for us. How is it fundamentally different from a workflow we just described?
A workflow is a train on a track. It goes from station A to station B on a fixed path. It cannot decide to turn left because there's traffic ahead. An agent is more like an ATV or a self-driving car. It has a destination in mind, but it can go off-road, it can navigate around obstacles, it can dynamically figure out the best path to get there.
It can reason.
It can reason. And the source Gumloop is a platform designed specifically for building these agentic workflows. They describe a hybrid model, which I think is really smart. You use the structured, rigid workflows for the reliable stuff, that's the scaffolding. But inside that structure, you place an agent whose job it is to make decisions.
Okay, can you give us a concrete example of an agent making a decision within a workflow?
Sure. Imagine a real estate agent bot built on Gumloop. A user types in a natural language request like, find me some nice properties in Austin under $500 with good schools. A standard workflow would just search a database for those keywords and spit back a list.
Pretty basic.
An agent, on the other hand, might look at that request and formulate a plan. You might say, okay, to do this effectively, I have a few steps. First, I need to scrape the latest listings from Zillow. Then I need to organize that raw data in an Airtable base. After that, I should probably cross-reference the addresses with a school district rating API to verify the good schools part.
So the agent itself is deciding which tools to use and in what order?
Yes. The Gumloop example in the research showed an agent deciding between running a Google Sheet Scraper tool or an Airtable organizer tool based on what the user actually needed in their request. It adapts, it plans. It's not just following a script.
That feels like a massive jump in capability. It's almost like you're training a new employee rather than just programming a computer.
That is exactly how you have to treat them. They call it system instructions or meta prompts. You don't just tell the agent, do this task. You explain how you think. You have to give it a persona. You are a senior researcher who is deeply skeptical of unverified sources and always double checks everything. You have to train it like a new hire.
And speaking of research and skepticism, we have to talk about STORM. This was the Stanford paper that really caught my attention.
STORM. It stands for Synthesis of Topic Outlines through Retrieval and Multi-Perspective Question Answering.
That is a mouthful.
It is a serious mouthful. But the concept behind it is revolutionary. This was discussed at length in the LangChain transcript we analyzed. Essentially, it's an AI system that can write comprehensive Wikipedia-like articles from scratch. But it doesn't just guess the next word like a standard ChatGPT does. It simulates an entire research team.
A research team inside the computer? How does that work?
To understand STORM, imagine you have a newsroom inside your laptop.
Okay, I'm picturing the chaos. Phones are ringing, people are yelling, there's coffee everywhere.
Right. In a standard large language model, you basically have one very tired, very overworked reporter trying to write a complex story from memory. They might get some facts right, but they're also prone to hallucinate or make stuff up because they can't remember all the details. STORM fires that lone reporter and hires a full editorial team.
Okay, so who's on this AI team?
First, you have the editor agent. This agent's only job is to be skeptical and to strategize. You give it a broad topic, say, the future of solid-state batteries. The editor doesn't write anything, it just creates an outline. It asks, what do we actually need to know to cover this topic well? We need to understand the underlying chemistry, the current manufacturing costs, the major corporate players, and the geopolitical implications.
So it's creating a research strategy, a plan of attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it hands those specific assignments to the reporter agents. And these reporter agents are different because they're equipped with tools, specifically live internet search tools. They can go out to the web, read recent scientific papers, check stock prices, look for citations. They're fact-finding.
They're doing the legwork, the actual research.
But here is the magic. This is the multi-perspective part of the acronym. The editor doesn't just accept the first draft the reporters bring back. The system simulates a debate.
The AI agents debate each other.
They have a conversation. The editor might say, Reporter A, you cited this paper from 2020, but my search shows there was a major retraction of that data in 2024. Go back and check your sources. Or it might say, you're only showing the positive investment side of this. We need a perspective on the environmental impact of lithium mining for these batteries.
Wait a minute. The software is actively fact-checking itself and looking for bias in its own reporting.
It is challenging its own priors. It adopts different personas to stress test the information. One persona might view the topic from an investor standpoint. Another views it from an environmentalist standpoint. They discuss these findings in a hidden dialogue log. They refine the outline based on that debate. And then, and only then, do they compile the final article.
That explains why the output from a system like that would feel so much denser and more reliable than a standard prompt. It's not just predicting the next word, it's synthesizing a structured, adversarial conversation.
Exactly right. It moves AI from just being a text predictor to being a reasoning simulator. The LangChain transcript showed it writing a highly detailed, accurate article on long context LLMs in about 5 minutes, complete with correct, up-to-date citations. It's a game changer.
That's profound. So we have agents creating the content with this incredibly high-level research process. We have agents orchestrating the workflow, but then we still have to get this content in front of actual eyeballs. Which brings us to Section 5, distribution and repurposing.
This is where we see the shift from simple scheduling, which is just, putting a post in a queue to go out at 2 p.m. to scaling.
And distribution AI is the key term here.
Right. There's a tool literally called distribution AI and another one called MagAI that operates on a similar philosophy. And that philosophy is all about asset multiplication. You take one core asset, that blog post Samers bot wrote, or that video plainly rendered, and you turn it into dozens of platform-specific assets.
And platform-specific is the really crucial part. You can't just copy-paste a LinkedIn post to Twitter. It looks lazy and it doesn't work.
It never works. LinkedIn needs to be professional, maybe a bit more verbose, insightful. Twitter needs to be punchy, short, maybe structured as a numbered thread. MagAI actually integrates multiple AI models, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, all in one interface to handle this. You can tell it, take this core idea and rewrite it for these 5 platforms, and it will tweak the tone and format automatically for each destination.
And for video, the big one everyone is talking about is Opus Clip. I feel like I see made with Opus Clip water harps everywhere now. That's the tool that takes a long video and just chops it up into short clips.
It's the king of the repurposing engines. You can feed it a 60-minute podcast like this one, and it will analyze the entire thing to find the most viral moments. But it's not just doing random clipping. It's much smarter than that.
How does it know it's viral? How can it predict that?
It uses something they call an AI virality score. It's constantly analyzing trends on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. It looks at the content of your clip, the specific words you're speaking, the pacing, the topic, and it assigns a predictive score. It will tell you, this 45-second clip has a 90% chance of high engagement, and this other one has a 40% chance, so you only post the winners.
That saves so much time and guesswork. But there's a technical feature in there that I want to understand better, active speaker detection.
This is so cool and so useful. So in a podcast like this, we are usually filming in a wide landscape mode. You can see both of us. But TikTok is vertical.
Yeah.
You just crop the center of that wide shot. You might cut half my face off or half your face off.
Right. It looks terrible.
Active speaker detection uses a combination of facial tracking and voice activity detection. It identifies who is speaking at any given moment, finds their face in the frame, and then dynamically moves the vertical crop window to keep them perfectly centered. So if I'm speaking, it's a close-up on me. If you interrupt me, it instantly cuts to a close-up on you.
It does that automatically.
Completely automatically.
Yeah.
It is acting as a virtual director and a virtual editor in real time.
That is just incredible. So it's finding the best content, and then it's formatting that content perfectly for the platform, which leads us perfectly to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. Section 6, the science of virality. Because Opus Clip is predicting virality, but how? What is the math behind all this magic?
This is where we get into the really fascinating research from places like Influencer Marketing Hub on the viral coefficient model. And the big takeaway here is this. It's not luck, it's math.
I love that phrase. It's not luck, it's math. Okay, break down this hook intensity score for us.
Okay, so after analyzing thousands of successful short-form videos, they found that the best ones almost always have what they call a triple threat hook. You need 3 distinct things happening in the first 3 seconds of the video.
The first 3 seconds, that's it.
1, an auditory hook. This could be a surprising sound effect, a loud noise, a provocative question right out of the gate.
Yeah.
2, visual movement. Something on screen has to be moving dynamically. A whip pan, a fast zoom, an object flying across the screen. And 3, a text overlay. A big, bold title on the screen that reinforces the point or creates curiosity.
Sound, movement, and text, all at once.
You score each of those 3 elements from 0 to 1 based on its intensity. If you have all 3 firing on all cylinders, you have a high hook intensity score. The research strongly suggests that you should only put paid ad spend behind video assets that score higher than a 2.5 on this 3-point scale.
Let's apply this hook intensity score to a real scenario so people can visualize it. Let's say I'm making a video about making coffee.
Okay, perfect. Give me your opening 3 seconds. What's the video?
I'm standing in my kitchen. I'm holding a mug. I smile and I say, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to make great espresso.
Okay, let's grade it. Auditory hook, you said, hey guys. That's a generic greeting. It's not a pattern interrupt. There's no jarring sound or a question that makes me lean in. I'm giving you a 0.2, and I'm being generous.
Ouch. Okay, harsh.
Visual movement, you're standing still. The mug is still. There's no dynamic zoom, no camera shake, nothing. That's a 0.1.
I'm failing my own podcast episode right now. This is not good.
Text overlay. Did you have a title pop up that said something like, you're making coffee wrong?
No, it was just my smiling face.
Then your total hook intensity score is effectively 0. According to the data, that video is dead on arrival. The algorithm will kill it because viewer retention will drop off a cliff after 1.5 seconds. Now let's flip it.
Okay. Rewrite it for me. How do I get a 3.0 on my coffee video?
Easy. You start with the loud, jarring sound of a coffee grinder screaming, that's your auditory hook, score of 1. Visually, you do a super fast whip pan. From the whole beans pouring into the grinder to the boiling water in the kettle, that's your high movement, score of 1. And as that happens, a huge text overlay in big red letters flashes on screen. Your grind is wrong. That's your text hook, score of 1.
I feel personally attacked by that video, but I am definitely watching to find out why my grind is wrong.
Exactly. That's a hook intensity score of 3.0. The math says that video has a 400% higher retention rate in the first quartile. It's not art. It's stimulus response engineering for the human brain.
That is such a practical, actionable rule. And the research also mentioned something called the Lean Readability Index.
Yes. This is all about reducing cognitive load. The index suggests you should always aim for a sub-8th grade reading level in your on-screen text and captions.
Keep it simple. Don't use big words.
Keep it super simple. And related to that is the 2-second read rule. If there is text on screen, the viewer must be able to read and comprehend it in 2 seconds or less. If it takes them 3 seconds, they've already scrolled past.
Our collective attention spans are truly, truly cooked.
They are. But as content creators, we have to respect that reality and build for it. And then there's the final layer, emotional mapping. This is basically Maslow's hierarchy of needs applied to TikTok.
Maslow's hierarchy, you mean like safety, belonging, self-actualization?
It works perfectly. You intentionally map your content to a specific need on that pyramid. Does this video trigger the esteem need, making the viewer feel smart, capable, unstoppable? Or does it trigger the belonging need, making them feel like they're part of an exclusive tribe or community?
And you can actually forecast share rates based on which emotion you target.
The data says yes. Different emotions drive different behaviors online. Content that triggers esteem drives a lot of shares because people want to signal, this smart thing is who I am. Content that triggers belonging drives comments and people tagging their friends.
Which leads directly to the idea of incentive anchors.
Right, building the virality into the script itself. They call it dual-layer CTAs, or calls to action.
Yeah.
You don't just ask for one thing. You have a conversion CTA like download our free guide. But you immediately follow it with an amplification CTA and tag a friend who needs to see this. You are engineering the referral loop.
And using usage rights as currency. I thought that was clever.
That was a really clever one. Share this post to your story to unlock extended access to this training. It gamifies the distribution. It turns your audience into your marketing team.
So let's try and pull this all together. We have gone from plainly rendering 10,000 unique videos via an API to Samer's digital twin handling his job interviews, to storm agents debating research topics like a miniature newsroom, all the way to Opus Clip predicting our viral scores based on math.
We have moved from a world of manual grunt work to a sophisticated, interconnected, self-driving machine. And as that one source, ThinkPeak AI, said so perfectly, buy the commodity, build the asset.
Break that down for us. What does that mean?
The commodity is the tool itself. Anyone can go and buy a subscription to ChatGPT or Plainly or Opus Clip. Those are just tools on the shelf. The asset, the real value, is the workflow. It's the unique logic. It's the system you build that connects all of them in an intelligent way.
So the new intellectual property isn't the content anymore. It's the workflow that creates the content.
It is. And that raises a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it?
It really does.
If AI agents are generating the ideas, and they're conducting the research, and they're writing the scripts, and they're rendering the videos, and they're distributing the content, and they're even predicting the engagement, at what point does the human creator become the bottleneck in their own system?
Oof, that is the question, isn't it?
And to take it one step further, if authenticity is the ultimate currency online, which is what everyone says it is, how long will it be until human-made becomes a luxury label? Like you'll see a disclaimer, this video was made by a real human with real mistakes and really slow, inefficient editing.
Handcrafted content. Artisanal YouTube videos. It sounds like a joke, but it also sounds plausible.
Exactly. We might be heading there faster than we think.
Well, while we all ponder our potential obsolescence, or maybe our elevation to artisanal creator status, we want to leave you with a challenge.
Pick one manual task in your content process. Just one. Maybe it's copying that video file from your desktop to Google Drive. Maybe it's struggling to write that LinkedIn caption. Pick one single task and try to hand it over to an agent this week. Use Zapier, use Make, use whatever. Just build the first pipe in your ecosystem.
Start building your self-driving car one wheel at a time.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you in the next one.
See you then.